If you can maximize this, you're going to 10x your productivity and like every aspect of your life, your alpha-ness, your wokeness, uh, it just, you name it. You're gonna multi-x it. I'm kind of joking, but I'm being serious. This is actually going to help you out a lot. I'm Paul, apexmindset.net to book a consultation. Like the video, share the video, watch it till the end because that's going to help me with the algorithms. YouTube doesn't always like my content, so I need your help to get good information out to people. So, we're going to talk about something that's going to drastically change your life if you don't have this thing in order. Okay. This is going to help you out a lot. First off, thank you for all the support. And yes, welcome back to me. I have had a little bit of something going on with my throat, like a throat infection of some sort. It's just like a major, massive head cold that attacked my throat. And so I had to take a break from videos and save my voice for my clients and consultations. But we're back. It's getting there. So I'm just going to kind of push through it and put some stuff out here for you guys. But thanks for your patience. And let's get into what I'm talking about. Now, what I'm talking about is sleep. Okay, now before you roll your eyes, like, okay, that's the big reveal. Sleep, like that's the big thing. What about how to get the girls, man? What about, what should I text her next? How do I get my ex back? Listen, your mental and emotional state is critical for your success in anything. This is maintaining an outcome independence mindset, maintaining and being that alpha dude and showing up and having an emotional self-control, being able to think through things, being productive, all that stuff is directly predicated to the quality of sleep you're getting. No, this is not an infomercial for a certain type of mattress or a certain type of program to get you to sleep better. I'm just being real with you. I didn't understand or realize how important this was early on in my life, especially going through the military where classic thing for the military to do is disregard sleep as being important, especially in the combat arms area. Think about things like Ranger School where you're sleep deprived and people go through that school forgetting that it's a test that's designed to put you under stress and test you. It's not a way of training you to be like that all the time. You're not supposed to be sleep deprived all the time for maxing your productivity and your success, whether it's military and missions or not. People get it confused. They think that, something like Ranger School that's, doing something to create conditions of stress is the way that they're supposed to act like and be like all the time. No, you got to separate the school from the mission and what you're doing and what's important. And you got to separate, things that you've done before out of necessity, or maybe you've done out of training, or you've done out of circumstance, like operating on low sleep. You got to separate that from what's going to be optimal. And the thing about it is you don't understand or often realize how much your performance is actually affected by not getting good sleep. And I'm not talking sleeping more necessarily than 7 or 8 hours. I'm talking more about the quality of sleep that you're getting. Listen, your brain, and I realized this, by the way, guys, the more that I got into neurology and understanding the effects of neurology on human psychology and on emotions and on mood and all of those things. You want to keep your frame with your girl. Well, if you're sleeping 3 or 4 hours a night because you're working a bunch of jobs and she has you stressed out all the time, the chances of you having the emotional and mental self-control to keep that frame is going to be pretty low. All right. So you have to prioritize and maximize sleep. We all have the same amount of hours during the day. You got to take at least 8 of those to get good rest, and you have to maximize the rest that you're getting. And I'm going to give you a bunch of actionable tips on how to do that, not BS sales pitches for a product that's supposed to help you, but the actual things that you need to do that are going to help you sleep better. All right. It's really important. Okay, this is more important. A lot of times, the things that are more important than what you think is important, you're not going to pay attention to. So you got to pay attention to this stuff. All right, so that's the end of the speech on it. You're either going to listen to me or you're not. All right, now sleeping. Okay, let's talk about. I'm going to go through a checklist of a number of things that you can go through and see if you're checking these things off and you want to maximize your sleep. If you maximize your sleep, you're going to, back to what I was saying, and I interrupted myself with my own thoughts. your your brain is designed to make adjustments for learning and adopting new behaviors, new beliefs, and new reactions and new emotions in that sleep process. Okay, when you're asleep, at going through sleep, your body's, it's not just your body that's recovering, it's your mind that is recovering and reorganizing thoughts. So if you're trying to learn and adapt and change habits and change beliefs and make changes in your life, but you're not adequately sleeping, you're directly hindering yourself. It's like trying to win a race with a weight vest on. You know, take the weight vest off. Okay? Stop hindering yourself. Your brain is not going to assimilate new beliefs and new patterns and new emotions easily without getting good rest, because that is when your neurons are reorganizing themselves. They're uncoupling with emotions and thoughts and patterns that don't serve you anymore. And they're creating new connections to new thoughts, beliefs, and emotions and patterns. You can't adequately learn anything or adapt to new behaviors or new beliefs or emotions without allowing for this process. All right. And this process happens mostly like like 90% of it happens when you're at rest or sleeping. So that's the thing. If you guys are all trying to improve your lives and you're trying to action things to improve your lives, but you're not sleeping, you're not helping yourself. Even if you're trying to, 10x your business and kill it in, your entrepreneurial endeavors and make all that money, good, do that. But if you're not getting the rest, you're hindering your productivity while you're awake. And you're hindering your ability to organize the most important thing you got going for you that's going to make you money, which is your head and your brain. All right. You're not putting things together. And believe me, I've gone through the research and I've gone through my own experimentations with this just because of having to learn to adapt on low sleep, having to maximize sleep and the whole 9 yards. And I'll tell you, it makes a big difference. Okay. So I'll have you start with thinking about your chronotype. There's something to be said about chronotypes. There's some disagreements on the research about the chronotype thing, how important it is, because light and sunlight is also really important, and our bodies are designed to respond to that. So there's just different, beliefs in the scientific community about your chronotype. So your chronotype is the natural biological inclination for when your body wants to be at rest and when your body wants to be awake. That's the idea behind chronotype. And there's theories that different types, based on genetics, are going to fall into different categories. There's also, though, the aspect of light and how it affects the human body. So there's a lot of confusion still on this. Point is I think it stands to reason that if you didn't have an alarm and didn't have anything to do, you would have a natural way that your body would want to sleep and your body would want to be awake. And that would sort of fall in line with the light patterns and sunlight of the areas that you're in. And so that's just something to pay attention to. You got to find what works for you in terms of when sleeping is good for you and when being awake is good for you. And you got to try to find that as objectively as you can without putting your own, belief systems into it. All right. You'll note objectively when your body is more productive, more awake at different times of the day than others when you're getting certain types of rest. but I'll break it down into four types of chronotypes that, we can look at. All right. So one would be the standard type. This is where you wake up around 7 or 8 o'clock naturally. All right. Sun comes up usually an hour. I mean, in most places of the world, okay, comes up usually an hour to 2 hours prior to your wake up. Um, you're most productive in the morning hours. And your bedtime then would usually put you around 11 or 12 o'clock at night. So that's most people will fall into that chronotype because that fits the sunlight patterns that they're in the location, and it just sort of matches. All right. So if that's your normal mode, then you want to schedule your work around that as best as you can and maximize your sleep during that time. If your normal chronotype, I would avoid naps. All right. Now you can do something called non-sleep deep rest activities like meditation or hypnosis, or just laying and closing your eyes, listening to music, stuff like that for 20 to 40 minutes a day to recharge. That's good. Non-sleep deep rest is great for recharging. I recommend it. But if you're a standard pattern, okay, then I wouldn't get into naps where you're actually falling asleep. All right, because that's going to disrupt your sleep schedule later. So that's your standard chronotype. And yeah, I know it's really cool. Some people I admire, even in the performance success grift, we'll call it, they like to show their watch and what time they're waking up at 3:30. Listen, man, to achieve excellence, you don't need to wake up at a particular time. You just need to be the most productive when you're awake. Okay, if you wake up at noon and you're greatly productive to include throughout the evening and making millions of dollars, who am I to tell you you're wrong? All right. But your body is going to have a certain type that it's going to be comfortable with, certain schedule, certain circadian rhythm based on light patterns in your area. So paying attention to that's important. Now, a night person, some of you guys are night people. This is where if you left your own devices, you would wake up around 10 o'clock. Somewhere between 10 and noon would be your wake up time. So for you, your most productive time is actually going to be in the afternoon, somewhere between noon and 4. And your bedtime then needs to be somewhere between 2 and 4. If you're naturally a night person, you don't want to get into habits of staying up to later than 4 o'clock in the morning or even 3 o'clock. Try to get to bed around 2 at least. Reason is because, again, despite your circadian rhythms, there's a standard deviation kind of that you can work with within those rhythms that your body likes. And there's light patterns involved here, remember. And so you want to give time for natural light and sunlight to hit your body and to allow for that productivity. There's a lot of health benefits for that. And so, you don't want to get into habits of waking up too much later in the day and not being productive until way into the afternoon. Most people who follow a schedule like that aren't productive at all. So, if you're a late sleeper and you can do that and your work allows it, that's fine. Try to get to bed still between 2 and 4. And if this is you, again, same like with this person with a standard pattern, avoid naps. All right. If you do that non-sleep deep rest, that meditation, or zoning out to music, a couple times a day for 10, 20 minutes here and there, it's a good recharge, but don't nap if you're a night person. You want to try to get to bed before 2, but I know with you night people, it might be a challenge. All right. Most important thing is, though, you're getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep. So if you're a night person, but your workplace requires you to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning, meaning you have to wake up, let's say at 7 or 6:30, don't stay up till 2. Okay. Because you're going to need that 7 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep if you can grab it. Next chronotype is a morning person. Morning people wake up before dawn naturally. They feel best waking up between 4 and 6 in the morning. All right. They're most productive in the morning, usually. All right. They get tired at night once that sun goes down. Their melatonin starts, natural melatonin kicks in, and they're ready for bed between 9 and 10. All right. Now, morning people will have a challenge because most lifestyles nowadays aren't really, especially if you work and you're trying to be productive and then you have a family, or you have your social life, whatever. It's hard to get to bed and be sleeping by 9 or 10 o'clock, which is what you would need to have 7, 8 hours of sleep. So that can be a challenge, all right, for morning people. Now, morning people can maximize their productivity if by catching a nap, about 30 to 90 minutes worth of a nap. 90 minutes is kind of pushing it though, but somewhere between 30 and 90 after lunch. So you have your most productive time in the mornings. You're up at like 4, 5:30, whatever. You knock out your most productive work before noon. Have something to eat. If you intermittent fast, your first meal's at noon or something, right? 11:30, and then take a nap for an hour. And then that will recharge you to push through the rest of the day, especially if you have obligations to family and stuff that might not allow you to get to bed, at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. If you have to push it and get to bed by 10, then that nap will help you get there. That's your morning person. And if you have most work schedules can deal with a morning or a standard person, okay? Night people are harder to find a work schedule that fits them. Now, you could be a sporadic person where it's unidentifiable what your circadian patterns are. You're usually sensitive to light or noise. You usually can go, you're the type of person who'll sleep 4 or 5 hours. You'll be up for a day and a half, and then your body crashes, and then maybe you sleep for 10 hours. Like, you're all over the place. All right. So your body doesn't seem to want to find some type of schedule. There's probably evolutionary reasons for this, depending on where you lived in places where there was less sunlight. Regardless, you want to try to get into a schedule. So it's best to treat it like you're a night person. Try to get to bed before 2 a.m. and then have that wake up time 7, 8 hours later. 9 or 10 o'clock would be fine. Just like with the morning person, you can use naps to make up some difference, because you'll say you might only get 6 hours of sleep one day. All right. You can use an hour, hour and a half of a nap and get in one REM sleep cycle in the middle of the day to make up that difference. The key is for napping is not to be groggy when you wake up. If you're groggy, you're napping wrong. You're probably napping for too long or not giving yourself enough time to get through a full cycle. So either don't nap and do that meditation or relaxation, that non-sleep deep rest, or take a nap and allow for some level of a cycle to happen. Don't allow yourself to get into deep sleep, or allow yourself to go through a cycle. That's a general rule on naps. But the thing about that is you don't want to interrupt your main sleep cycle. So and this is the risk with naps, and this is why naps are really controversial in sleep, studies in the sleep research community, because some people say never take them. Some people say, you can take them. It just depends on whether or not that nap is going to disrupt and screw up your nighttime sleeping. That's what it boils down to. If the nap is going to screw up your nighttime sleeping, it's better to be tired than go to bed at a normal time and then catch up on 8 hours, 8 to 9 hours of sleep that evening, and get your schedule back to normal. So that's your chronotypes. Figure out what you are and try to have a lifestyle and a schedule that matches that. The goal is 8 hours of sleep a day within a 24-hour cycle. So that's your goal. All right. And the second part of that goal is to have a schedule. All right. So identify your chronotype so you understand what your outward demands are, what's most natural for your body. But then you develop a schedule and you stick to it. If you're that guy who shows your watch at 3:30 in the morning to show everybody how cool you are because you woke up that early, great. But then you better have a schedule that's allowing you 7, 8 hours of sleep to support that early wake up. All right. And it needs to be consistent. Waking up once in a while at 3:30 isn't helping you. All right. You want to be mostly consistent as to the time you wake up and the time you go to bed. That is what's going to help you the most with sleep, is consistency. All right. So that's number 2, is after figure out your chronotype, be consistent. Number 3, Upon wake up, and I've said this in other videos, this is, I'm assigning this more and more because this is so beneficial. But when you wake up, what I want you to do within your first, let's say 10 minutes, give or take, of getting up, do whatever you do, take your piss, brush your teeth, whatever, get outside and do some forward movement, a walk for 5 to 10 minutes. All right. Getting natural light into your eyeballs. So don't wear sunglasses. Don't bury yourself in your phone. Don't, for 5 to 10 minutes, you're just walking without distractions, without electronics, and without anything blocking your eyes. You're not going to look at the sun, of course. Don't eat paint warning, right? Don't look at the sun and blind yourself. But you're going to look forward and look out to the horizon line as you walk. All right, there's something about the sunlight first thing in the morning that releases a healthy level of cortisol without the other stress hormones accompanied with it. So it helps you not only stave off stress throughout the day, just getting that little bump, but it starts an internal timer or clock that all your cells are now sort of attached to. Getting that natural sunlight and getting it outside, not through a window, because it's literally 50 times more effective when you're outside versus a window, according to some research I read. All right. So whether it's 50 or not, who knows, but it's a lot more effective. So get outside, and it starts an internal clock or internal timer. Your body has a timer once it wakes up where you're building up into releasing natural melatonin 12 to 14 hours after wake up. Then that natural melatonin, when the lights come down and the sun is down off the, is over the horizon and it's dark out, that's designed to start and make your body tired and allow you to go to sleep and recharge. So a lot of you guys who have sleep trouble, you might not be getting enough natural light. And it's not signaling until well after you're already awake that melatonin release 12 to 14 hours later. And there's other reasons, all right, psychological reasons and neurological reasons why that walk is so important. But just understand, for sleeping, getting that natural light and that movement also helps wake you up, and it helps signal to your cells, okay, we're awake now. So that 12 to 14 hours, the clock is ticking. We're ready for bed in 12 to 14 hours. That puts you on a cycle. All right. So that's number 3, is to get outside, get in a walk, even if it's only 2 minutes, get that natural light on you. Now, to add to that, as far as natural light's concerned, 30 to 40 minutes of natural light a day is what you need on your body. So if you're stuck in an office or stuck inside, all right, or even working shifts, try to get 30 to 40 minutes of natural light on you per day. Okay, so outside time, I don't care if it's winter. All right, this is going to help your body, and you want to strive for that. It's going to make your body more healthy, put you in a better cycle, and it helps your mental health, and it helps your neurochemicals and your hormones, all that stuff that's so critical for being this alpha guy that you guys want to be like. All right, that's what you need. You need that.